Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time out today. I am Jose Mohammed. But before we get on to formal introductions in the session, I would like to take some time and allow a couple of minutes for everyone who's registered onto the webinar to log on, and we'll start at 32 past 3. Until then, I'm going to mute myself and we're going to wait patiently. I see that people are still reeling in. We've got 24 attendees logged in so far with us, amongst us today. I would allow another minute for people to come through and then we shall start promptly. So, in order to not have any awkward silence and not waste our viewers or attendees' time, let me quickly bring everyone up to speed. You may be expecting Sam McGimsey, a South African gentleman over here, where you've got me, Jose Mohammed, who's sitting from marketing department. Unfortunately, that is owing to unforeseeable circumstances due to which Sam couldn't make it to the webinar today. However, we've got Kevin Smith. He's the lead of our renewables and safety solutions. So he's the top man for the focus point of discussion today. Right. So I won't hang on for anyone. I've automated for people to bypass the lobby so they can come straight through in. I will now begin the session. So there's a slight adjustment to the format of how we're delivering the webinar today. It's not going to be a lecture, but we've tried to convert it to more of a podcast style session where you can just listen to me asking questions and Kevin responding. It's going to be very convenient for me to put Kevin on the spot, so I'm going to try my best, and Kevin's going to try his best to respond to as many questions from both technical point of views and a commercial standpoint. So to make sure that we bring most value back to everyone who is logged in with us today. Right, so to introduce the session, everyone's well aware of the fact that we're here to deliver something that makes EV install simpler, EV charge point install simpler, and this is obviously because Lewden is positioned the way in the market, the way Lewden is positioned in the market, it's more from not just a EV charger manufacturer, but from a standpoint where we've been in the industry for a while and we can offer a whole suite of solutions. Right. Before we get into the details about what Lewden can offer and what Lewden cannot offer, I would like to highlight what we're going to go through succinctly. We've got general concepts of the EV charging and the industry standards covered up in our conversation. We will also review broadly the EV charging solutions offered by Lewden. And at the later phase in the conversation, we will look at special installer networks that we have put up. So I really encourage everyone who's logged in right now to stay with us until at least 35 minutes. We're going to make, I'm going to try my best, especially substituting Stan. I know I've got big shoes to fill, but I'm going to try my best that I keep it engaging with Kevin, just as Sam would have done. And lastly, we'll get on to pricing, which is also super important for when we're covering all of the EV charging range. Now, before we get to that, I understand a lot of our viewers who've logged in have been engaged with Lewden for a long time. For the ones who haven't, I'd like to contextualize why, where we are, where we stand, and where we come from. Right. So, Lewden was established in 1946 as a metal products company. Coincidentally and gladly, I'd like to bring to the table that this year we are celebrating the 80th anniversary of the business. So we're super proud, and we're confident that we have been delivering reliable solutions ever since, and we're looking forward to delivering them in the future.
Sure.
Right. So, in terms of an evolution and a evolutionary curve with reliable solutions, we started off as metal die casting products, then evolved into a circuit protection and a consumer units provider, which still to date remains the main profitable line of the business. But we've now dwelled into the EV element, which is the EV charging industry, which is an add-on or a bolt-on to our entire infrastructure that are building upon our capabilities, and
Yeah.
also conjunctioning that with the fact that we like to innovate as a brand, as a manufacturer, and we like to innovate with our installers. So the feedback that you give us is critical. Hence, I really appreciate all the chat, all the comments, all the questions that you can drop down in the chat box, because we are following a Q&A session once we kick off the EV element of the session. If you drop all of the questions in the chat box, we'll make sure that we get you the best possible technical advice or a commercial response as a summary, as a follow-up to the entire session after the webinar is over. So what you may know us for is predominantly commercial and residential circuit protection, power distribution solutions, right? Inclusive of circuit protection devices. We've got terminal blocks, and there is an additional range to that. However, we've got a sister company that does heavy duty industrial applications for power distributions and solutions. But what is Lewden's best kept secret is also on this slide, which is the custom build section. Outside of our standard catalog, Lewden offers a variety of solutions to a lot of requirements that are not very common in the industry and are difficult to get solutions for. However, Lewden's expertise in the technical department actually flourishes there. And your conduit or your link to that is Kevin. And hence we've got Kevin over here with us to highlight upon it later in the conversation. Right? But that's not the focus of the conversation. The focus is EV. And we will be talking about not just the chargers that we offer, but also about the entire EV infrastructure that comes along with it. So from feeder pillars to power distribution that is required by as circuit protection to the charger. And then we will delve into it deeper. However, let's start simple, right? Let's contextualize for our viewers. Despite of circuit protection and consumer units being the profitable line of the business, why did Lewden choose to evolve in the EV market?
Yeah, I think, well, hello everybody for a start. I think it was a natural progression for Lewden to go this direction with the history that we've just explained. Moving on to the ability to fulfill customers' demands across the board, commercially, and with long-term shift towards low carbon, being sustainable.
A renewables company, a sustainable company as well. That's quite well positioned as well. I mean, given the fact that Lewden just doesn't like to evolve, respond to consumer demands, but with a reliable solution, I think we've come fashionably late to the market, but with a stable product which is adhering to industry standards and regulations, which we'll come to in a very few minutes. But however, the major distinction in the industry, in order to understand why Lewden has evolved, is because Lewden could offer solutions for AC charging or AC power. Right. However, we have now stepped also in terms of that evolutionary cycle into understanding how DC power works or how DC solutions would work. So isolating it to EV charging, Kevin, can you help me understand what is the common difference between AC charging and DC charging?
Yeah, so typically AC charging is a slower process for more domestic and small commercial applications. The difference between sort of I suppose the AC and the DC on the actual product is effectively the ability to be able to charge quickly opposed to more slower application. We have a range of products from 7.5 kilowatts up to 22 kilowatt in an AC application, and then moving on towards DC large charges 50 to 80 kilowatts. So inherently, AC charging is a lower end starting application for domestic, and it is a softer charge on the battery of the car, and DC is more
on the higher end of the higher range
commercial fleets.
Yeah, so
quicker charging applications.
You would put it into the public sector in that case, and you would put AC applications
more domestic to a lower end commercial.
Perfect. I mean, having said that, in terms of a commercial standpoint, what is more cost effective? Is it AC or is it DC?
AC is for sure more cost effective
in terms of infrastructure or installation point of view as well, because DC gets more
and more realistic for power that's available on sites at that level, depending on the application. So
okay. So when we come to that, I want to understand a bit more, and I'm assuming people who are logged in with us, we've got installers who are very keen to get into EV installations, more and more into EV installations, and we've got seasoned installers who have been working with domestic or residential applications, or some of them are also working with three-phase or industrial applications. And when it comes to industrial and DC going hand in hand, the charger itself, how is it different to an AC charger? Is it something where outside of the power element that comes into the factor of it's AC or DC, do you have, when making a decision whether to offer an AC solution or a DC solution, does the vehicle battery size play a significant role in understanding what sort of solution is to be offered?
It would play a role, but it's important for the installer to assess obviously the power that's available, assess what the client needs, to put a solution forward that's best suited. So you're not going to be in a position where you're getting nuisance stripping if you're over, if you're demanding too much power in relation to what the rest of the building needs or the facility needs. So it's important to front end.
So then a preliminary check and then so on. Okay. So if I do say that, it is, I would assume it is essential for an installer to go through a set of regulations and standards.
Yeah.
Coming to that point, which has been the discussion has been inevitable, right? Because of the ever evolving standards, be it product standards or be it installation guidelines or codes of practice. I want you to shed a bit of light on what is essential for the installer, because as a manufacturer, you should adhere to all of them. And what do we adhere to?
So effectively, as a manufacturer, we would have to adhere to the standards I think we show on the slide now. But for an installer, it's key to know what's required of the installation and follow the correct guidelines, obviously. But now that there's a bit more parity in the actual market on what is actually required, there's as per the slide shows there, the electric vehicle charging installations guide. There's so much to consider. However,
okay. Let me rephrase the question a little bit. I think what I want to give the installers a bit more clarity on what out of the so many regulations should they adhere to. ideally they must work to everything. I just want to help them understand what goes hand in hand. Would you say the PARs and the building regs and the codes of practice for EV charge point installation go hand in hand?
Yes.
So you need to adhere to specific segments given the requirements of the installer's customer. You pin it to a specific section and then you move on with your installation.
Right.
Okay, well, in that case, I suggest if you've got any technical questions or specific points on what installation should you specifically use for a particular application that you have encountered or you may encounter, or if you need to plan an installation, just drop your questions in the chat and we will make sure that our technical team gets back to you. If not within the session, we can definitely summarize it and come back to you within that particular application for that particular situation. Now, moving on to the next bone of contention in the market, right? We've got a mixed bag of opinions on whether to go for different types of chargers. Between different types of chargers, the bone of contention is, should you go for an untethered type or should you go for a tethered type? What is your opinion?
I'd always go untethered. We've made a commercial decision to go that route for a number of reasons, but the first and foremost one being cable theft. We've had certain instances in the past where clients have run up for replacement cables because of situations where theft has approached them. It's not an easy thing to have to deal with when you're in that situation.
Funny enough,
charges being down and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Funny enough, I was speaking to our technical director yesterday. It was all about what's the difference, and just get myself prepared. And he went on mentioning just a live example. I think it was 3 days ago where there's a charge point just around us, just down the corner. There were 70 tethered options, so tethered chargers on the facility, and someone had nicked the cables off it, all of it. And I was like, oh, what is the commercial benefit? It's like, there is none. The only thing is with cable theft, they can scrap the metal, the copper. Hence, I mean, given that, I think that's a good segue into why we do what we do and the timing with which we've entered the market as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time to introduce Siena and what options are available. Of course, being compliant to what we offer, with the industry standards and regulations.
Yeah, and Siena is our sort of entry level product from 7.4 kilowatt single phase up to 22 kilowatt three phase. It's available in with pen or without pen, depending on application. And similarly with 4G connection or non-4G connection, and SIMs available as well as a separate.
So with the SIM pack, I'd like to highlight the fact that if you do go for the 4G connectivity option, it comes in with a 3-year data plan with a SIM card in it. We will come to the connectivity and the communications feature of the charger. However, I want to first discuss, because we have been talking about industrial regulations and standards and how we power pack most of the features that are mentioned that the charger should have in those product standards as different suites, right? So the first suite is the smart charging capability of the charger, because given the product standards, a manufacturer has to make sure that it's not just a charger, it is a smart charger where people can actually connect remotely, people can manage and monitor their charging times, their tariffs, and so on and so forth. So let's quickly get on to what are the smart charging controls which are power packed with Siena.
I mean, obviously shown on the slide here, but I think, to touch on a few of the design, dynamic load management is really important as part of the whole philosophy of intelligent buildings and such like. The ability to be interactive with solar, obviously another good one. More and more prevalent now for us.
Would you
and various others on there as well. So
would you say that is prevalent because we have witnessed a lot and lot more of retrofit solutions. And Siena, not just Siena, but also the protection devices that we follow.
In both applications, for sure. I think people are genuinely looking at the infrastructure of the buildings, whether it be domestic or industrial, to maximise the ability
and flexibility as well. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, what we've tried to do is, with the features that we've tried to portray in front of you, are definitely all about what a charger should have. However, if you want to get more details on the charger itself, it is best to go onto the catalog or the Lewden website and look for the part number. We've got a data sheet. We will also send that to you after the webinar, so that you can get through the must-have solutions in the charger, which come as a suite. So now coming back to what are the protection features, because Lewden has always been about reliable and safe solutions. We want to make sure that we learn from our existing range and we adapt that in just not in design, but also in terms of electrical protection, in terms of technical flexibility of the product.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw light on the likes of the RCD fault protection or the overcurrent protection? Or
yeah, I mean, these are all functionalities that are A, required, and B, we've listened to the client base to what is the requirements as well. And the chargers come with a wealth of protection features that obviously have gone through testing accordingly, and not just our own testing, but obviously secondary testing as well.
Coming to that, before we get on to communications, let me quickly get onto that slide for our installers. So here's what Kevin's actually talking about, right? We've got a TUV, which is UK, EU based, that covers all of the Europe as a continental version.
Yeah.
So it's about Siena being extensively tested and fully certified, by the way, by an independent laboratory. That's what we're looking at, the TUV. But it also complies with several product standards, as you can see, right? They're listed here for IEC 61851, which is the charging standard, then the UK smart charging regulations. But at the same time, we've tested it and we've got it certified for RCD protection built into the consumer unit. It's also about the EMC compliance, because obviously as a company, it's a corporate social responsibility as well, so you need to build on that. But then you've got communications and pen fault protection that come in. So this is all about packing up a suite of features which adhere to industry standards, and coming from a background that is strongly about electrical equipment, that poses the installer, or that positions the installer in such a beautiful way, in such a smarter way to approach the install.
Smarter way, but it gives the installer confidence.
Yeah, confidence is the right word. Thanks, Kevin. I mean, I think that's what the aim of the session is as well, to kind of help you build confidence onto what to offer. And when it comes to the technical capabilities, again, if there are limitations that, or if there are any reservations from your end user, you could definitely come back to us, right back to us, and we can have a second opinion, a sound technical second opinion on it, so that can help you advise your customer better with the offers.
We're certainly not just there to provide a charger and walk away. We're there to support the whole infrastructure.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of that's the beauty of the brand Lewden over here. It has always been about this. It has always been about not just being a wall in the box. It has been about providing the infrastructure, if that's missing, if that's available, providing the power distribution solution with the right circuit protection with the industry standards. But if it's even the circuit protection is present, then you've got the terminal blocks in the charger. So at any given point in time, you've got one supplier that can fulfill all your demands.
For us, it's important that the installer knows that he can talk to us about an installation. We can run through the technical side of it with him, be realistic with what's required for the site. Also give the ability to think about the future as well, and whether there's going to be increased power demands, and the effect of that, or indeed whether you're going to put more power in. So we're here to help.
We're here to help. We're touching on that point about how we're going to look at the future. I want to reserve it for a later stage in the conversation where we talk about load balancing briefly, but a little bit more in detail, right? Before we get to that, it's about the communication features. And when we're looking at the future or even present day, it's all about smart connectivity features, accessibility. But on top of that, what is important is ease of installation, because time is money and your time is valuable to us and you are valuable to us. So uh, in order to make sure how we can best design the product, which is easily installable, one, but at the same time adheres to most of the standards and positions you in front of your customer that you are delivering a safe product, which is not going to give any callbacks or any problems in the future. We've got this little installation video before, oh, sorry, installation feature slide, right? Kevin, do you want to take us through why it is unique in terms of?
Yeah, so Siena has been developed to, well, mainly with the installer in mind, and the ability to, to translate an installation quickly, efficiently, and with confidence. So we provide as a standard with any of our baseline products, 7.4 kilowatts, 22 kilowatt Sienas, a format for easy mounting on the wall using a template system, which is provided actually using the physical box to then allow you to uniquely mount the backplate design product that we've got to actually mount the charger on. So you can do all your connections easily without sort of having to muck around trying to find terminal blocks and that kind of thing. It's easy to install. You mount that to the wall, and then effectively you're on setup with the system with currents and that kind of thing, depending on what you need to pull. And it's as easy as plug and play. So you then just mount the charger on top of the backplate on the wall, and you're away to go into the commissioning phase. So it's all designed about, or all thought about with regards to installation, ease of installation, and confidence.
And having said that, one thing that we haven't discussed yet is the output current adjustment, right? That is a key element in installation. Yep. So is it because of the size of the vehicle or the power it will draw? Is it depending on the house?
That's definitely a factor, but more importantly, yes, I think the wider picture of what power is being used generically across the site, and putting you in a position where, as an installer and as for an end user, so you're not in the position to get nuisance stripping, and you've got the ability to set up correctly first time round.
Perfect. So, I mean, before we get on to smart connectivity now, I think it would be ideal for them to actually see it. So let's do this. Let's do a video where you can see a quick installation. It's a very short video. You can see a quick installation of Siena and a little of the commissioning process. Right. So as you saw, arguably, yes, that is a produced video, so it's not going to be as fast. But but the point is that the backplate enables the installer to do a hassle-free connection in terms of technical wiring session, and then just put the whole body on top of the backplate and left with a post installation commissioning process.
Yeah.
Right. Here's where the Lewden app and the Monta app comes into play, which is the biggest part of the smart connectivity and how not only you make a smart choice for your end user, but your end user makes a smarter choice using the apps to make sure that they're monitoring their charges, or they're making best use of their smart tariffs and so on and so forth. In order to make sure that there are no problems in the installation of the commission process, the box comes in with an installation manual and a commissioning guide. In addition to that, we've got dedicated links on the website, on Lewden website, which are small broken down step videos, video assistance guides, about 30 seconds each.
Yep.
And trust me, I can barely hold a screwdriver, but if my installer was to install the charger on my home and leave, I could actually follow through and commission the charger. It is quite simple. So I really encourage everyone to give it a shot to view those installation of commissioning videos when you are installing Lewden chargers. It saves a lot of time because it avoids it puts out any concerns with clarity or commissioning issues out of the window, because it's quite straightforward and it's right in there.
But similarly, the Lewden Connect app for setup is.
It's the initial setup for registering the charger against the user as well. So yes, again, as a whole suite of installation guides that is available on the Lewden website. We've looked over the certification element, but now we've talked all about the industry standards, what a product must have, what Siena has, what offer we've got in terms of the AC range. I would like us to understand. Yes, Mohammed, we will surely send the link. We will surely send the link with the follow-up email. Sorry for that, but coming back to the question, I wanted to understand, because I think it will be of benefit to our viewers. When we talked about the AC range and we say that we're offering a comprehensive solution, please can you take us through what power distribution solutions and what are the protections that are needed before the charger, and what do we offer together?
I think just as a kind of a bullet point run through of what Lewden can offer, this is probably one of our stronger points anyway. Is that not only is it obviously the charger, it is the mains distribution for that, the DNO supply, power terminals, a wide variety of accessory products, posts for mounting chargers. The list does go on, but the additional spare fobs for RFID. We're trying to make a solution, one-stop shop from start to finish, that the install has got everything required to do the job, first off, and secondly, that you've got that confidence we've just discussed in what you're leaving behind at the end of the day is a product fit for purpose with a happy customer.
Brilliant. Okay, now that we've talked about our EV charging our residential side of the EV charging, or so that the higher end or the lower end, the lower end of the commercial side, could you throw some light on what have we got in store for high end of AC charging?
Yeah, so now we have, as on the screen shows, we've got a 22 kilowatt duo unit, which is now available, which again is a slightly higher end unit, more for the fleet application, and consider the applications, a faster charge, maybe 4 to 6 hours, for more maybe shopping centres, hotels, that kind of application. It's a slick looking unit. It's compact. It's got a nice large 10-inch touchscreen interface on it. Very robust, but gives all the functionality, not just as the smaller end would, but more giving the facility for payment options, and
anything that you would need in a public sector.
Correct.
Correct. You are running on a higher end,
but in such a way that and this is one of the things that I personally like about the Lewden range of chargers, is that They're very slick products. They're not in your face, and they're very much functional, slick, reactive and reliable products.
Now that you did mention about DC as well, right? We've got through to what AC offerings we've got.
Yeah.
And a few industry standards, most industry standards are there to AC charging. But when it comes to DC charging, we are still not there. But as we spoke of evolution and as we spoke of intention to consumer demand, I know that we're going to tease through a DC product. So I'm going to leave that with you.
Okay, so the 22 kilowatt Duo that we just mentioned is a really good entry level product to the lower end commercial applications. But the Satara is our DC option, which should be coming through towards the end of 26, maybe early 27 at the very latest. This will be a unit. It's a generic frame sized unit, but again very slick, keeping in with the previous design of the Duo. Very straightforward to use functionality wise, screen wise. In four versions of the product, you're going to have a 40 kilowatts and 50 kilowatts, a 60 kilowatts, and I believe an 80 kilowatts from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
These units are more for, as it says on the screen, service stations are more public sector, hotels, restaurants, shopping centres where we need a fast charge, and yeah, it's the ongoing development of a range that's come together quite nicely.
Are we trying? So is it safe to say that Lewden's working towards having DC chargers stocked up, or is it going to be as and when situation?
I think initially as and when, with a view to, again, there'll be some. I'm sure there'll be some
breaking into the market sort of situation.
I think so also, but also I think it's the product will continue to continue to develop as we go along with this process. We've got a baseline product which we're comfortable with, but it might well be that we look at other applications in between the two to try and make it a bit more commercially viable for people to use DC.
Yeah,
we've got to look at the realities of power, and is 80 kilowatt generally going to be too big? These are just examples. Are we potentially going to be more helpful to the market being at the sort of 50 to 60 kilowatt ratio? So and this is the good thing about Lewden products, in that we're listening to what users want, and we'll tailor our service to that.
Perfect. Now that we have spoken about the range of chargers, I want to understand, as we got into what is the comprehensive solution in terms of power distribution and surge protection that we offer for AC charging, how about we talk about DC element of DC equivalent of that, so the feeder pillars, right? What's the range? What does it look like? What our capabilities are? Can we go beyond those?
I think another strong area for us is to be able to produce or provide a complete solution. So if you're going into more of a commercial application where you're using multiple chargers, we have a standard range of EV feeder pillars, which cater for most applications up to sort of 630 amp. Over and above that, we, as we mentioned briefly again, we have a custom division within the organisation, which allows us to progress up to sort of 2,500 amp feeder pillars, and that can be dependent on whether it's an AC application or a DC application. We also offer GRP solutions if you've got a DNO supply and you want that alongside with the EV distribution. So we're very versatile on that side of the business, but again, adhering to all the standards, using our technical resource that we've got in-house here.
I think it is critical for me to emphasize here that when I did say that the Lewden's best kept secret is probably the custom build department, I think this is what testifies against that statement, honestly. So I really encourage people who are quality surveyors, installation designers, you please get in touch with Kevin, express your requirements, and we can surely work around it to bring you the best or the most optimal solution in the most cost-effective way.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Right. Perfect. Now, coming to bringing a bit of the previous context in, when we were discussing AC charging and about how an installer can plan for future, or whether an installer is making a sound decision for their end user in terms of balancing load or in terms of making the best uh, fit for power consumption for the house owner or the homeowner or the property owner. uh, it comes all down to load balancing. It's static, dynamic. I understand it briefly. What I would like you to do, Kevin, over here is just kind of what is it briefly, why it's needed.
I think in a nutshell, if we start off with the initial power that the site's got available, there's a reality stat for every end user and installer. It's about preventing the situation where you're in a tripping scenario,
Yeah.
and that you're using power effectively within your network effectively. I mean, if you're thinking about EV charging, and you're in a position where you've got 6 EV chargers, and you're not going to get 22 kilowatt hour each charge as an example. It's going to balance the load if all 6 are in order or working positions. Similarly, if you've got 1 car plugged in, you're going to get the maximum. But it's the ability to be able to monitor that and balance it, as the terminology says, but also using the Monitor app to do that as well.
For the AC chargers, that suite is available within the.
But there's a wealth of other benefits to load balancing, and it's definitely required and will become more and more prevalent as other systems come online.
Oh, certainly it will. I think this is where we've got the competitive advantage as Lewden, and this is where we can help installers make a smarter choice, right? And Lewden has always been about what we can actually do more than providing power distribution or an electrical solution to the market. It's always been about uplifting the installer community, pouring more and more in.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the point where if you have questions about load balancing, or if you have questions about what the charger can actually do or what an industry regulation or standard is, we run installer days. I'm just going to put my marketing hat on real quick and try to get as much exposure as we possibly can. I want the user, or I want the listeners to know that Lewden is open to these questions. Lewden is open to these feedbacks, and we're more than happy and willing to help you navigate through these reservations people might have towards situations. We've got installer days running up every quarter. We've got such webinars, so you can ask questions, or you can simply write to the live chat bot on the Lewden website. And there's a dedicated engineer who monitors the chatbot.
Yeah.
So you're getting first-hand information from a qualified engineer who's not just an electrician, but is also designing the product. So we know ins and outs of the offering we've got. We can also understand what different situations you're probably stuck in and help you work through, right? Now, when it comes to all of it, I would just like to combine it and bring to you something that we've been working on. Excitingly, we had a really good response on our installer days. It's about the Lewden EV installer network. We're building a nationwide network of qualified and experienced EV installers, where it is not just to train the the installers on installing EV product, but also to kind of expose them to fellow EV charge point operators or installers, where they can learn from each other, from their regular everyday experience, everyday problems. But in order to support that, we provide free in-depth product training on Lewden offering. We have ongoing technical backup, as we have been saying, and an exclusive installer incentive, not only from a marketing freebie point of view, but from early access to specific events, priority access to initiatives like the Brand Ambassador Program. But at the same time, we want to build that confidence with the comprehensive offering that we've got, that you can go on and support or offer as support to your end user. So I really encourage people to register your interests today. As a part of the follow-up, we'll send you a registration form link. The standard format is that our technical team reviews your experience and your qualifications, and we bring you onto the program. So there's a qualifying process. So we match it against our criteria, and then we bring you on board. So we're really looking forward to having you on to this Lewden installer network. However, this is what's free, but in order to upskill yourselves, if you want to do that in isolation, you can still do that with the City and Guild courses. Now, the City and Guild courses, we're working as Lewden as a responsive brand, to a responsive and a responsible brand. We're working to have the City and Guilds courses available for the ones in the installer network within a certain agreement and an arrangement. So again, it's all about having and being connected with the fellow members to keep ourselves involved with the installer community, but also up to speed with industry standards.
Yeah.
So here's where we'd like to work together and build together. And having said that, we also offer free CPD accredited courses on Lewden website. So you can log on today. You can log on to Lewden.com. Under the Lewden Academy session, you'll find 13 courses which are developed with a very prominent voice in the EV in the electrical industry, which is with eFix. We've got these accredited courses which can bring you CPD accredited points, which we understand you have to fulfill throughout the year. But we've got 13 courses across various subsectors of the industry. And that's about it. But it's not just stopping at what's free in terms of institutional or an academic support, but it's also from the standpoint where we want you to interact and engage with Lewden products, our product offerings. So we also have the IP65 EV consumer unit, which is also meant for retrofit applications, free of cost. When you buy a charger from one of our preferred suppliers listed on the slide, you can log on to the website again, and when you click buy now, there pops up a list of preferred suppliers that you can go on, look at the pricing. If they are if that's one of the suppliers or wholesalers or online resellers you buy from, you can go on and lock the deal in there. It's available for $399 only, and you can claim the EV consumer straight from the manufacturer, which is us right here. I think that's about it. Coming back to the questions, if we have had any, or if you feel like there are questions that you may come across in future, feel free to write to us. However, we will summarize all of this, and we'll get it back to you in time as a follow-up to the entire webinar with the slides, with the marketing literature and the dedicated links. That's our time. Thank you so much for responding to my naive technical question. And thank you so much for also bringing in the commercial standpoint from what we offer. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Thank you very much for staying back with us. Thank you for dedicating your time on a Friday afternoon. We wish you a very, very happy weekend, and hopefully the session was of importance to you and it did bring you value. That's what we look forward to. If there's any questions, again, please feel free to write to us, or just scan the QR code, follow us on social media, and you can drop them as private messages. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Steve, once again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your time.